Hi, I'm Manny Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Virgo for May 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, and while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter, which makes you part of my community and gives you perks like receiving my monthly write-up. It's an extensive write-up with the dates and transits and what I think that you can do with them, things in the general understanding of the energy for the month in a written form a month early. So, what is going on in the month of May? This movement and manifestation to the max is what we're working with. We've been waiting for a long time for these personal planets to get straight, and that is happening this month. Mercury goes direct in the 3rd. There's a little chaos around it, but then after that, the shadow period starts clearing, and then the Venus retrograde shadow period clears, and then we're set for an open window through like July 24th from the personal planet retrogrades. So we'll talk more about those specific transits, but I want to talk about some things specific for Virgo first. I'm calling the theme of this month for Virgos the power of the unseen world. And this is due to a very strong focus for all placements, early, middle, and late degree, on the 8th house. The 8th house is representative of many things. It is the second partnership house, so it's merging power, so intimacy, sex, power, marriage, your money, your in-laws, your spousal money, your inheritances, your relationship with the finance companies, credit, debt, all of that stuff is in the 8th house. It's the house of lesser seen things. Like the more, if you've ever studied stocks or been involved with many financial things, the more you know about the money systems, the more you see that they're not really based on anything tangible. And that's what this house is all about, is this intangible space. So there's a great focus here on the lesser seen things. I think many humans seriously underestimate the lesser seen worlds, more focused on what we can see before us that is visible to the naked eye. But this month and this period of time with this focus in the 8th house especially is bringing this reminder about how much magic and mischief comes from the lesser seen realms. Use a virus as an example. Viruses are, people don't even realize how much I really believe all of the epidemics we have as humans are based in viruses. It's more complicated than that, but there are viruses that are linked now. They're starting to see viruses linked to cancers, different kinds of cancers, like people getting throat cancer who never smoked. Why did that happen? Oh, because they have this certain virus that increases the odds of that particular type of cancer. You can't see the virus. You didn't even know you had the virus, and then all of a sudden it shows up. You see things like this. There's this lesser seen world is the 80 to 90% of our whole experience. What we can see is only 10 to 20%. So understanding these things that are underneath, behind, in the backdrop is what the focus is for this time. And that includes spiritual work. I can't do horoscopes or do my work without speaking spirit, because that's my language, and that's most important to me, even more so than the practical mundane reality, is that connection to divine. So spiritual studies, esoteric studies, asking for support from the unseen realms, doing your visualization and creation work, this is all powerful all the time, but you've got this extra special energy here now to do it. I recently found Mike Dooley. I highly recommend you find him. If I would find him, I would grab him and smooch him. He's actually in my state, so maybe I will do that at some point. But he was featured on The Secret, so I know that I did see him there a long time ago, but I never got into his work, and it came into my field of experience. And I do a lot of manifestation work myself, but there were some things that he said that I want to share with you because of the energy here that just really made sense to me. Okay, so people doing spiritual work, trying to consciously create, and I do believe that we are here to consciously create. It's part of what we're supposed to be doing here. So we fall into this confusion. Okay, well, we have to be in the present moment, but we also have to creatively visualize and imagine ourselves where we want to be, right? So how do you stay in the present moment, but then, do your work to create what you're trying to create with your visualization and feeling something as if it's true? And he gave me a little tidbit that made a bunch of sense. You only need to do your creative visualization, seeing something as if it's coming true, seeing that car in the driveway that you want, seeing that house you want, seeing that vacation you want, feeling as if you're on the vacation, feeling as if your debt is already paid off. You only really need to do that for like 4 minutes a day. He sets his timer for 4 minutes when he does his creation work. And for that time, you fully immerse yourself in how would you feel if all of your debt was paid off. Imagining you having money come in and you going online and sending the amount that's due to all of the companies, whatever it is that you're working on. How would all that feel? And do that, be in that, focus on that for 4 minutes. And then for the rest of the day, be present in your life with everything that you have created, with everything that is before you right now, not the past, not the future, the present. And that is a magical piece right there. So this creation work is so powerful that if you do it consistently and you do it with great focus and feeling, you don't have to do that much of it to see major results. So that is my little piece for you about that. There is another house that is very strongly accentuated for you all, which is the 9th house. And the 9th house is the house of teaching, learning, expansion in general, long distance travel, publishing, writing, religion, religious studies, studying philosophy, like the bigger questions and the bigger answers and the bigger picture. It's also a house that can be can come with a lot of optimism. Virgo energy on its own is the worrywart of the zodiac, and the more planets you have in Virgo, the more you worry and get critical and get analytical about things. And there are many strong, positive things about that tendency to break things apart. And certainly people who have a bunch of energy not like that need that energy brought in, so this is very important energy. But that the people with a lot of Virgo energy are more likely to have frown and worry lines than they are to have than other energies, because it's this constant state of what if and what. So you all have this amazing opportunity with this 8th house focus of the unseen realms, falling into the support of the unseen. Spirit has your back. There's just so much magic that can be done when you really just get into remembering that your paycheck doesn't come from your job, it comes from Spirit. Your sustenance doesn't come from where you think it comes from Spirit, and it goes through these intermediary means. But you connect directly with Spirit and you have a direct line into the things that you need and want and your purpose. So something else that is going on, specifically for Virgo, the full moon is going to be, for you early and middle degree placements, it's going to be in the 3rd house. For you late degree placements, it's going to be in the 2nd house. So fullness, completion, fruition coming for most of you in this 3rd house. This could mean your car finally goes kaput and it's time to get a new one, but you have a lot of blessings to help you get the perfect one and be financed for it, etc. Because that 8th house is also about financing. So if you need to get something new, it increases the odds that you'll have the financial support you need to get the new item. Communication devices, computers, things like that. I'd like to see you wait until like the 9th or the 6th, at least like the 7th or on. The later you get in the month, the more you're free from the Mercury retrograde energies, and you can see in my write-up in my report which days have good energies. And there's quite a bit of positive Mercury action this month. Mercury rules computers and cars, so you want to have the Mercury energy flowing, positively when you make these purchases. But there's a really good chance that your communication, your mobility is going to be amped up, and it's a very, very busy time. You'll be running all over the place, and these Gemini energies, Mars and Gemini, and then the Sun will get in Gemini, are just spinning around, making you more busy than ever. A lot of movement. So the later degree placements, you'll have that fullness, completion, fruition in your house of finances. So sometimes the full moons bring stress. There could be an ending to a steady paycheck. There could be, some sort of financial strife or crisis. Or something you've been working on with your finances could work out, It's equally as likely that there could be a challenging manifestation as there could be a positive manifestation, because the full moon doesn't necessarily mean something bad. It often means something emotionally charged, but it could be a happy thing, where something you've been working on, something you've been hoping for comes to fruition. So if you've been working on something over the last year, the finances could work out for that, So these are the things most on my mind for Virgos this month. I want to talk about in great detail the dates of all the transits that are noteworthy, the things that I think you need to know about them, this amazing trine with these outer planets, Saturn and Uranus, which is rare and fully supportive to those of you at these major crossroads in your life for these harmonious transitions. So we'll talk more about that now. So I'm calling the theme of the month of May for all signs, movement and manifestation to the max. This is the month that we have been waiting for through all of the retrograde cycles that started at the end of 2016. So there are definitely going to be major opportunities for the launches, for the trips, for the action, for the activity, for the big decisions. And we have some really amazing transits that line up with this clearing of the retrogrades. So I'll just go in order about the notable dates and the transits on those dates. Do know that when you sign up for my free email newsletter on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, I do a write-up, a general write-up for the month ahead, so that you have a lot of the points that I talk about written down, and it's easier to refer to for your planning purposes. So you can check that out too. So on May 3rd, this is the day that Mercury goes direct, and Mercury goes direct at 24 degrees of Aries. So if you have any planets close to there, of course, you'll be affected more than others or in aspect to them to that degree. But everyone will likely experience more chaos around the days that Mercury goes direct. So it would be a false idea to think, oh, today Mercury is direct, now today or tomorrow I will go and do all these things and make all these decisions and try to get all this stuff done. You'll feel it when you pay attention that the energies are very chaotic the days before and the days after a planet goes retrograde, or the days before or the days after it goes direct. So I'd say give it a few days, several days after the 3rd, before you start taking action. I know your little horsey's chomping at the bit, waiting through 5 months of retrograde energies to try to do things, but do wait just a little longer. On May 9th, we've got the first day that I consider really, really good to start doing some things. I don't, you have to feel in to see if your launches or things like that would be good on this day, but I like a little bit later in the month because the shadow energies start to clear more. But this is certainly a day when the sun in Taurus makes a trine to Pluto in Capricorn, where you have tremendous power aligning with your desires. So you could, just feel into it. This could be a day to do some of the things on your list. On May 10th, we have the full moon at 20 degrees of Scorpio, and at the same time we have a Uranus and Mercury conjunction. So full moons usually bring fullness, completion, drama. Sometimes they bring happy tears, sometimes they bring stress, but there is this fullness, this completion, this coming to fruition of anything in the area of Scorpio. So something having to do with an intimate relationship, a business partnership, a financial relationship or agreement, something with esoteric studies. Many people can have major spiritual transformation that occurs at this time, or insights that occur. If someone is doing research or looking into a mystery, sometimes this energy can bring answers that you've been looking for, that you've been delving deep, searching for. The fact that Uranus and Mercury are going to make this conjunction at the same time always alerts me to watch your head and your brain, because Uranus in Aries, Uranus brings surprises, it could bring jolts. Mercury is like your movement, and it just always behooves us to guard your head, especially during this time, especially since the full moon is bringing excess of drama and emotions. And sometimes, everybody knows that people get a little more crazy at the full moon, right? Even people that don't believe in astrology know that that's true. So I like to leave a little space around the full moons so that whatever comes up, you can be fully present for them. So that's May 10th, the full moon in Scorpio. On May 11th, we have a square with Mars in Gemini, to Neptune and Pisces. And so how I see this energy coming together as a potential is information overload, action overload, things to do, just kind of energy and movement combining with chaos and confusion, so this might be a day to step back. I always like to remind you that even though I give you the dates of the transits, sometimes we feel the energy of the planets coming together on the days before or the days after the actual transit. So you really need to feel in with your intuition if a day is good for something. Just because we say today is a good day in the cosmos, if you're having a bad day that day and things are not flowing for you, maybe you don't want to align with trying to make a big decision or do something on that day just because it happens to be a quote good transit. Sometimes you'll feel the good energy days before, so if you're feeling it, everything is aligning. You don't have to necessarily wait for the exact day the transit happens. If it's a positive transit, you can take advantage of that energy when you feel it beforehand as well. So I just wanted to point that out. So this Mars in Gemini and Neptune and Pisces aspect could bring some action and information overload. So just kind of draw back a little bit. That is the other thing to know about this month. Although there are definitely energetic clearings going on, the planets are going direct that were retrograde, the shadows, or at least Mercury is, the Venus retrograde shadow transit is going to be over this month. We'll talk about that later. Mercury retrograde transit or shadow will be over later. There's this clearing out going, kind of opening up some room for action and things to happen. But this energy is interspersed with these little challenging moments. So you really just have to feel your way through to see which is a good time to do what and to take best advantage of the good energy when you're feeling it. Okay, so also on May 11th, Mercury in Aries is going to make a trine to Saturn and Sag. And so this energy is really good for good news and forward movements, especially on long-term projects. So the fact that it's so close to the full moon and this other aspect with Mars and Neptune, you just have to feel your way through. Feel when you're feeling that good energy flowing, then jump on that and take your actions at that time. On the 14th, the nodes, I started talking about the North and South node in transit last month in the April report. The North node in transit shows us keys to our highest expression. And right now, on May 14th, the nodes change to the polarity of Leo and Aquarius. And so when the North Node is transiting in Leo, it's pointing for all of us to have more energy towards following our bliss. That's what Leo energy is about, is living in this constant manifestation of these true desires. A true desire is not necessarily a chocolate cake, or a purse or something like that. The true desires, the ones that spirit wants for us, aligns for us. And who knows, maybe a purse or a chocolate cake could be part of that if it's part of something bigger for somebody. I have no judgment on the desires. We just have to be careful that addictions don't cloud the way of true desires that spirit wants for us, So when we really, really, really want something, it's usually because spirit really, really wants that for us. And when we align our energies with where spirit is directing us, we become an unstoppable force for manifestation. So with the transiting node moving into Leo, we're all going to have years of support for following our bliss. It reminds me of the quote by Joseph Campbell. If you haven't studied his work, he's amazing. He basically, this is, loosely, he talks about how when you follow your bliss, doors open that weren't there before. Not even doors necessarily that were closed, just like doors open from places where there just weren't any doors. When you follow your bliss, you align with that energy, you supercharge yourself for manifestation. So this is really good news for me for assisting everyone in following that bliss, because the universe is really supporting this at this time. So on May 18th, we have a nice angle between the Sun in Taurus and Chiron in Pisces. Chiron is an asteroid, it's the wounded healer. And it talks about how our weak spots can actually be our greatest strengths. So when we have a nice angle here, it's showing us that we have a chance to easily convert a weakness to a strength. That's what Chiron to me is all about. So when you have something at a nice angle to it, it means that that conversion can be relatively easy. When you have Chiron in a challenging angle, then that conversion can be a little bit stressful. But this is like a nice little sweet spot here, in the middle of the month, where something that was serving to hinder you actually serves as your springboard. So around May 19th, we have this amazing long-term story, beautiful aspect between Saturn and Sagittarius and Uranus and Aries. So we've talked about outer planets, how when they get together, they create these long-term challenges, which could be opportunities or just straight opportunities. So this is just straight up opportunity for harmonious transitions. The first time Saturn and Uranus came together in this configuration in recent times was December 24th of 2016. So here now, May 19th, is our second run of this story. And then the third run they'll connect again on November 11th. And they won't come together again like this until 2047. So this is a really rare aspect, and it is one that is a theme for the whole year from the end of 2016 through the end of 2017. And this month of May, and actually for the end of April, all of May, and almost half of June, Saturn and Uranus are in this amazing close proximity that's just opening doors, just like we were talking about for following your bliss. So it's really supercharged. And so the energies are also both in fire. And fire means action. If you know anyone or you have a lot of fire energy of your own, this is an action-oriented energy. Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Let's do something. So when you have these outer planets in this wonderful aspect, they want to help you do something really big. So this is the type of energy that's amazing for all huge transitions, like major crossroads. Changes in all areas of life are very much supported. And now that we have the personal planet retrogrades clearing up, it's really opening up the way for these changes that have been pending to really start to manifest. The same day, May 19th, we have this opposition with Venus and Aries to Jupiter in Libra. This is the opposition that I worry least about in general, because Venus and Jupiter are the two benefics, the nice planets basically of the zodiac. So when they get together, even in an ornery angle, it's not as much of a challenge or an issue as oppositions with other planets are, because they kind of like each other, So I could see two main possible manifestations from this. Of course, there are unlimited manifestations, but one could be overindulgence in fun. So just excess of fun, spending, partying, whatever. That is more common at this time, just having way too much fun. And the other way I can see this happening is a burnout from balancing me and we. Like, you could be getting in a really good groove with tending to your own things and tending to your stuff with relationship, because Aries and Libra are this, this polarity of me and we. So you could just be burnt out from balancing me and we, and that could be how it manifests. And this same day, on May 19th, is when the Venus shadow period from the retrograde passes completely. So ever since April 15th, when Venus went direct, we've been in this shadow period where, even though it was moving forward, it was kind of still getting back to full strength. So now on this day, it's back at full strength, and we're not going to have to work with this for, a long time, until the end of 2018. As far as the Venus retrograde goes. On May 21st, the Mercury shadow clears. So in that time between, the first few days after Mercury goes direct, so May 3rd, after that, I'm saying like May 9th is a good time to start, pushing some things forward. From May 9th until the 21st, you're still having a little bit of shadow stuff to deal with, but it doesn't mean you can't get some stuff done. But now, as of the 21st, you have this completely open period from personal planets retrograde or their shadow periods until July 24th. So make the most of your taking action, doing things, going places, making decisions, moving forward. Then on May 25th, we have the new moon at almost 5 degrees of Gemini. New moons always bring new opportunities, and the more you make your wishes in alignment with the energy of the sign, the more the universe can help them come true. So you get 10 new moon wishes. You can check out my blog called Making Powerful New Moon in Gemini Wishes, or you can just go to anniehelpsyou.com, click on blog, and then put a search for New Moon in Gemini, and you'll find it. So you can see the types of things that are Gemini related that you can wish for that help to push your wishes even further. That new moon is also squaring Pluto. So there could be some challenges with people, authority figures, or unknown pieces, or some sort of forces that seem to be working against you. This is one of those examples this month, as I was saying, there's like all these energies moving forward, but they're like little hindrances, little obstacles in the way. So if you're feeling a little bit of a pushback, then just honor the flow and just wait until you're feeling the flow move forward again, instead of pushing against it. On May 28th through the 29th, Mars in Gemini is going to be opposing Saturn in Sagittarius. So this could be another one of those hiccups in progress where, Saturn, this taskmaster, comes in and opposes Mars, this planet that wants to move forward and take action. It's like a little bit of, hey, you have to do something with your responsibility here, or here's a little piece you didn't keep up with that you have to take care of before you can continue spiraling forward. And it is very much a spiraling energy because the energy of Gemini moves in an upward spiral. So you'll notice this month is just full of, even though we have energy in Taurus as well, which is more grounded, there's more of a predominant energy in like the Aries and Gemini, which is like making everything spin, busyness, lots of information, lots of talking, lots of thinking, lots of doing, lots of going places. So then on May 30th, Mars in Gemini will make a nice angle to Uranus, and this is a really great day to put a brilliant plan in action. Uranus rules taking chances, taking risks, doing something forward thinking, and Mars again rules action. So when they come together in a nice angle, this gives really good support for taking a brilliant idea and putting it into action. On the 31st, Mercury in Taurus will make a lovely trine with Pluto in Capricorn. So this is like grounded action fueled by emotional or lesser seen support. Pluto is stuff in the backdrop. It could be spiritual, mystical stuff. It could be, a person or an entity with money that is supporting you. But it's something that is positively expressing or positively supporting your expression at this time. So these are the things that are most on my mind. Again, the theme this month is movement and manifestation to the max. I hope that this helps you to take more advantage of the opportunities that will be at play this month. If you haven't already signed up for my free email newsletter, then definitely do that on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, because you get the write-up of the month that's coming. I always send that out a month early, just like I do the horoscopes a month early, so that you can prepare. And some people need to see things more than just hear them, and that written report will give you information in a visual way. Also, I might have some slots still open in my Creating Successful Online Business if you'd like to be free from your geography. I'm not yet enrolling for my astrology apprenticeship program and my coach certification course, but it's coming soon when I will be. So if you think you might be interested in those courses, they do fill up quickly. You can go to my website and click on anniehelpsyou.com, click on Work With Me, and send me an email through where it says this class is full and in progress. If you send me an email through there, I'll put you on the list to have first chance at open slots when they come, if you're really interested in working with me. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.